security over a cup of tea with Prophaze. I am Lakshmi, co-founder, CEO, and product evangelist at Prophaze, and I would like to invite you all to this show. Today, we have a special guest with us. Now, let me introduce Mr. Shiju Rawther. Shiju is a technology leader with a strong business acumen with more than 2 decades of vast experience in major operating tenets of driving digital transformation through thought leadership, innovation, analytics, and delivering values to stakeholders. He's currently working as head of information technology for SBI Mutual Fund, spearheading group IT, technology strategies, enterprise-wide IT transformation, and analytics functions. He comes with a successful and steady career growth in reputed organizations like Care Ratings Limited, Poonawalla Finance, IIFL Finance Limited, TransUnion, Civil Limited, and so forth. He's a prominent speaker at many industry conferences and educational institutions. He's also been recognized as one of the most innovative CIO in India, top 100 CISOs consistently over the last years by various media groups and forums. He's also associated with CyberDome, a public-private partnership initiative by Kerala Police to combat cyber threats. He's recognized also as a Security Leader of the Year for Financial Services in December 2016 by DSCI NASCOM. So we're really lucky to have you, Shiju, on the panel. So I would like to formally invite you to the show. It's really great. It's a pleasure for us to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Lakshmi. It's an honor to be part of this session.
Okay, great. So before getting started, maybe we could just learn, we would like to hear about your journey over the 2 decades through the cybersecurity industry, how it went and how was your experience?
So I think it takes me back almost around 23 plus years now when I started my journey. So initially I started my journey as a developer, as most of the technocrats start their journey. So either from the networking or from the infrastructure side or from the development piece. So I started my journey with development and then moved towards the networking. And initially those days, the cybersecurity used to be only a point of solutions, either from the firewall perspective or from the end security perspective, which used to be the firewall or the antiviruses. So that used to be the only considered as the 2 point of solutions for any of the security terms. Eventually, I had an opportunity to work with a larger container terminal, which was part of the large shipping corporation, and where we had multiple issues in terms of cyber threats and all. And it was a days when cyber threats itself was not a very challenging aspect because the connectivity to the different outside world was very limited, but still we had a lot of challenges. That's how the passion arose, and a lot of new things started learning, and the new technologies also started getting into it. So I was always in a part of either into the developments or the infrastructure piece. But as a passion, I have developed more in terms of the cybersecurity aspects. In fact, over the last 3 years, I had been doing a research, and I have developed a model also, wherein I have acquired 2 patents as a part of my PhD curriculum, and written around 8 publications specifically into cybersecurity domain. So those are the days when the passion has arisen, and a lot of new learnings and new solutions, and almost all the technologies I used to be the hands-on. So that's the good part of it. Rather than a theoretical part, I developed more in terms of knowledge through the hands-on practices. And that's how today I come with a passionate cybersecurity professional.
Okay, wonderful. No wonder, there's been a series of accolades and awards in the list that I just read out. So definitely 2 patents and 8 publications is definitely a lot of, gains in the cybersecurity industry. So happy to have you with us today. So with that, so let me just put forth the first question that we have in the list. So according to your perspective, is cybersecurity fully integrated and valued across the organization, or does it still primarily function within the IT? So you have seen like almost 2 decades of the industry, right? So how do you feel that has the shift happened, or is it still constrained within the IT?
From my perspective, the integration and the valuation of the cybersecurity across the organization have evolved significantly over the years now. Cybersecurity is not limited only to the IT. So, given the days it was part of the IT and it used to be part of the functions of the IT department itself, but now it has moved a wide ahead, and the vital concerns are being given across any of the functional department in the organizations. Cybersecurity discussions have been move to board of directors levels too. So most of the board, you will hear about the discussions happening on the cyber securities, or how do we protect or how do we prevent any sort of threat for the organization. Those sort of discussions have started onto the board of directors levels too. Executive leadership also increasingly giving a lot of involvement in terms of cybersecurity discussions, because it's more they are started acknowledging, because end of the day any sort of cyber threats can bring in reputational risk as well. Not only the financial losses, it can also bring in the reputational losses too. So a lot of discussions around it, terms of financials, legals. So it's not only IT now. Moreover, now the regulators, so specifically the regulated entities like us, are also emphasizing more in terms of focusing for the cybersecurity. So it's coming from all the side now. It's not from the organization. It's coming from also from the government side. It's also coming from the regulators. So it's a 360 degree. Even the customers also, now customers also emphasize in terms of doing a transactions with an organization which is much more secure. So it's coming from 360 degrees. So the cyber security is not only with the IT, it has gone beyond the IT. That's how the cyber security is a perspective from my angle for the organization perspective.
Okay, glad to hear that perspective that cybersecurity has really gone beyond IT, because it was really restricted and within the IT framework earlier, and the cybersecurity view was limited early, right? So we had to create a lot of awareness, and it was a major task, right? So good to hear that, because now, as you said, it's a 360-degree view that's actually coming up in terms of cybersecurity. So happy to hear that. So since that has been answered, let's move on to the second question for the day. So it would be, beyond risk mitigation, how can organizations leverage cybersecurity as a strategic asset to drive business growth and gain a competitive advantage in the digital landscape?
Cybersecurity indeed can be leveraged in terms of expansions or drive the business growth for any of the organization. It can become a competitive advantage for any of the digital landscape. Because today, for example, if you have to enhance the customer loyalty, as I spoke about in the last question also, if you have to increase your customer loyalty, what you need to do? So you need to strengthen your cybersecurity postures. You need to give much more comfort to the customers and bring in their user experience level as well by saying, yes, this organization is much more secured for doing any sort of transactions. How you become a market differentials out over there. So you also need to become a market differential by saying, we have never been breached. We are adhering to a formed governance structure. There is also a regulatory compliance which we always follow. So you have also disclosed all those things. If you're a publicly listed company, definitely you will have to do that as well. So that's how you bring in market differential out over there. Also, you can bring in terms of, if you are a product company, you can bring in some sort of cyber security products, and that's how you can bring in innovations on the tables too, and it can become a revenue generator as well. So it's not only enabler or supporter, it's a business driven too. So you can also bring in a lot of innovations on the table where you can have a new streams by bringing in new products within the organizations. Also, it helps you to bring in a compliance advantage. How do you bring in a advantage aspect in terms of compliance, making sure that you are, if you are a regulated entity, how compliant you are towards the regulations which the regulatory circulars comes in. So you can also look upon to that. Major point is how do you bring in the operational efficiency and resilience in terms of the business. What that means, if you have never breached or your business is not down due to a cyber attack, you are 100% up, and that brings in more resilience in terms of that. So that's how the differentiations can also be brought in by the cybersecurity practices, mature practices. You can also bring in some terms of data monetization. So if you have a data with you which you always preserve and prevent from any sort of attacks, you can bring in a lot of analytics over and above to it. So there are multiple ways where you can bring in those sort of aspect as a strategical point of view, whereas security becomes as an enabler. So that's the main theme out of this.
Yeah, great. So as you said, like security is now becoming a differentiating factor. So if you're an organization that has been never breached and has never had any data leakage, it definitely gives you a competitive edge over the other peers, right? Yeah. So happy to see that that shift is actually happening, and now people are really prioritizing security over the previous years. Okay, so with that, let's move on to the third question that we have in the deck. So basically, in your view, what are the most pressing challenges that the organizations face in the digital age? And what visionary steps should we take to overcome these challenges?
I think the challenges are quite a common terminology which has been used within the organization. I don't foresee that could be a challenge. That could be termed as an opportunity, because wherever you feel a challenges are there, that should become a point of opportunity for your next journey. That's how you embark towards the next visions, and you need to have a long-term vision and mission in terms of moving out those challenges. Now, as an organization, and as a financial organization, we always look upon a cybersecurity as a larger threats, which we call as a challenge. Now, having those challenges in place, I look upon that as an opportunity. Now, what we need to do in terms of visionary steps and the vision, what we need to bring out over there. So you need to bring a fostering culture of a security culture and practices and awareness in the organization. That's the first thing which you should bring it out over there. And you should also look upon what's a good posture you have, how good your postures are in terms of within the maturity perspective. Second challenge is when we look upon in terms of the data privacy and the data compliance perspective. Now, the organization like us, when we deal into a lot of data, we hold a lot of data which could be API data as well. Now, the government has also passed on the recent circular for DPDP, which is also now going to be a law soon after the board constitutions. GDPR and CCPA was already existing out over here. So how do we deal with that? Because most of the time, within the organization, the employees may not be aware of it. So as a visionary, you need to also set up some sort of awareness wherein employees should understand what circulations, mandates, and what the organizations are supposed to be doing with that sort of data. So that's the one sort of vision which you can keep it up, and proactively you can approach your employees for this awareness program. Also, the digital transformation, when we look upon, we say digital transformation is good for an organization, where an organization has to look upon to leap for the next bound. But that also becomes a challenge, because when you try to bring in a lot of technologies inside, also a lot of threats walks in along with that. It's a freebie, right? So you also need to put it up a lot of workforce in terms of skills workforce who can also look upon in terms of vulnerability associated with those sort of technologies which you are implementing. You also need to look upon the whole culture, innovation culture, to successfully build with the digital landscape and the continuously monitoring those aspects too. So that's the vision which you can keep it up. No doubt you need to go for a digital transformation, because that's the way how we grow for tomorrow's business or tomorrow's world. But you also need to put it up a lot of security mechanism where you can put it up monitoring, strengthening your monitoring capability and capacity too. Fourth, I would say a lot of technology, when you change it, you will also have the challenge in terms of getting a right skill. So how do you build a skill? How do you build a pool of people who can get nurtured, mentored, and take up the newer roles, probably the newer skills? Because you cannot get these skills every time what you want from the outside world. It's too tough to get it, train it, and build those sort of skills. But you have to continuously train the pool of skilled people in-house and make them to take much more responsibility for the technology what you are implementing. Also, when look upon from the challenges, you will have the competitions from your own peer industry. So you also need to keep your eyes, ear open about what the others are doing so that you can always be ahead of that. So keep it always one innovative functions within your organization, which will also look upon from adopting a new technologies comparative to your competitors, as well as making sure that is protected and secured. uh, Bigger than that, if I look upon what social impact I can bring in, that's also one of the fact which we should look upon as a challenge or opportunity and make difference out over there. So these are the few things which I think should is a challenge and the visionary which we can add. More than that, disruption, so innovative disruption. So who will be the first in the market to go and bring in some sort of new technology? So that's the innovative disruption also we should keep it up looking into it. So multiple aspects which you'll have to keep up looking, but definitely when you look for a digital touch point of thing, you need to also look upon how it secured it is.
Great. So indeed, a lot of insights I was able to get from what you really spoke right now. So first and foremost, it's all about, when there is advancements in terms of technology, there's also security challenges. But we should never stop at that challenges. I mean, as you said, we should look upon it as an opportunity to, find out how we can solve that challenge, right? And also you talked about the skill gap and how we could upskill the people in the pool right now, and so that they are more given more responsibilities to handle security. So great
Right.
insights, Shiju. So definitely I was able to get a lot out of that. So with that, let's move on to the fourth question for the day. So how do you actually balance driving innovation and agility in cybersecurity while ensuring strict compliances with regulatory standards, especially in the fast-paced industry?
So it's very important, necessary for balancing innovation and agility in the cybersecurity. Given if you have a strict regulatory compliance as well, which is much more important aspect. So what all we do as a practice, it's a more from a governance structures and framework. What you will have to follow out over here is whenever we do something, first of all, we need to do a stringent risk assessment around it. And how do we build a strong governance framework and management around identifying and prioritizing and mitigating those risks associated to it. So that's the one thing which one should do before embarking to any of the new journey or new solutions. Regulatory knowledge, because since it's when we are talking about a regulatory compliance, we should also know what the regulatory circulars and the regulatory compliance and dictates about, because it's very important to be aligned out over here with the regulatory circulars or regulatory compliant point of view. So those sort of expertise also should build it up in-house in order to compliant with those aspects. So that's the one thing. So whenever we bring in something, first of all, say for example, if we are building a new solutions wherein the data localization is emphasized, that has to be kept in mind when we build in any sort of platform. So you cannot avail any sort of data which even the metadata goes out and come back from outside India. So you need to look upon each and every component of that solution, that it has to be within the geographical boundaries of the India. So that's important to know about the regulatory knowledge and has to be expert onto it. Also a compliance framework, because you may have your own compliance which you will have to be around in. So whenever you build something, you need to ensure that everything is compliant. The platform or solution has to be compliant. cross-functional collaborations, when you have multiple functions within the organizations, how other functions will make use of that solution. So it's not only IT or information security is the function which is going to use. Probably it's a cross-functional. Tomorrow, if you have got a lot of subsidiaries as well, how do they leverage onto the platform? So you need to also look upon, when you build, agility has to be looked upon in terms of cross-functional dependencies. And if you want to build a new solutions or new modules on top of that platform, how does that works onto it? Moreover, it's a platform, whenever you build it up, how the adoption happens. So continuous educations and training program has to be conducted along with that program. And more, when we look upon all these aspects, definitely partners will be involved, because you cannot have completely in-house team which is there. So how you build up a strong ecosystems with a strong SLAs with a third partnership with any of the vendor partners. So that's also comes along with the compliance and the regulatory norms. So these are the some aspect which I would it comes in my mind at this point of time.
Definitely. So I also completely agree to that, especially with the part that you said the data should be restricted within the geographical boundaries, especially when we talk about the data protection bill. So you were also talking about the new data protection bill that's actually coming into picture. So would you want to comment something on that part also, like how effective, it would be aiding in actually making the cybersecurity scenario of our country even better. So what do you want to? I mean, if you would want to comment something on that, what would that be?
I think when we talk about the data aspect or a local job, are you meant to be about the job,
Data
local job?
protection, the new data protection bill that's actually going to come in picture, right? I mean, as
I think that's one of the good point at this point of time, wherein GDPR couldn't have covered a lot of things we are covering in that, and lot of thought process has been given out over there. Say for example, in GDPR there is nothing mentioned about if the person dies, what the data, who will own the data, which is being covered. So a lot of niche aspects has been thought out over here, and I think good brains have worked behind it to make it happen. Now it's only how fast we quickly adopt it and make it purely a law within the organization, within the country. So that's what everyone is waiting for now, because now we feel that we are empowered because our data is secured across wherever we share the data. So those sort of fine refinement has been put in place, wherein after a person passed away, their data is still safe. Who will own? So that sort of clarity is also been mentioned out over there. And I think if we start speaking about the DPDP law, the whole day is not enough to cover up for us.
yes, yes, definitely. Yeah. So I just wanted to know your views on that since we just touched base upon it. Okay. So with that, maybe we could actually come to the final question for the day. So which would be from your perspective, which emerging technology do you believe will revolutionize the cybersecurity landscape? And how should organizations adapt to embrace these transformative trends?
I think it's a ever evolving. The technologies will be keep coming in. So there will be several technologies which will be keep coming in on daily basis. And probably we will be today, as we are talking about the technology, tomorrow it will be of the obsolete technology. So it will be daily that new technologies will come. But definitely the buzzwords what we hear today is more from artificial intelligence, machine learning. So those are the new technologies which will be disruptive, which will be going to disruptive in the markets in coming days. And probably that's the one aspect where we have to look and make use of good or bad way. So that's the one technology which I foresee. We had been talking about a lot about zero trust in couple of years, since last couple of years. So almost around 3 to 4 years we had been talking. Now we are seeing some sort of practicality which are getting placed in terms of after the COVID, we are seeing a lot of zero trust
Yeah.
architecture adoptions within the organizations, a lot of solutions which are coming embedded with the zero trust thing. So what the principle says, never trust. So that's also one of a part wherein we say never trust. So whom we are not going to trust, our own employee, but it always says verify. So that's how that technology works in. And a lot of solutions were in place recently over the last 2-3 years around the zero trust. So that's the one technology which will get emerged more. More than that, there is also one technology which gets embedded with the zero trust for the SASE. So that's how the SASE also got entered into along with the zero trust. So most of the solution providers who started with zero trust, they moved towards the SASE platforms as well. So that's the one emerging technology which you will see in coming years. We in most of the forums, I keep hearing about the quantum computing. That's the new technology which is going to come on our way now. Though there is a very minimal impact what we have seen in the industries and the adoptions too, or even the both the side, good side or bad side, because that's a cryptography and encryption which will happen. But we have not seen much impact. But that will be the one which will get emerged out of it in next few years. Apart from that, blockchain, we had been talking about the technology since long, but we have not seen the other side of the blockchain impact too, because the adoption itself is still in progress. So till we see the maturity out over there, we will not see much more impact out over there. But definitely cloud security, because that the adoption is happening on a rampant pace. We are seeing organizations are moving in a very rapid speed out into the cloud. So cloud security will become a bigger aspect, and that's a new technology which will hit. Most of the manufacturing organizations have moved completely into IoTs. There we will see a lot of technologies which will have good side, bad side, both the side of the tables of the IoT, because adoption is increasing now. Say, for example, automobile industry, we will the whole manufacturing happens through an automated way, and a lot of IoTs devices which they use in terms of collecting the data. So we will see a lot of impacts out over there in the technologies which will come. Also the behavioral biometrics technology which will come very soon now. So we had been talking about behavioral analytics, all sort of new solutions around it, but that is still yet to get emerged. Because today also, when I look upon from a behavioral aspect, I don't have any much more robust solution from where I can look upon from my user too. So that's the one thing which will come. Not last the less, we are moving towards the new generation of the mobile of 5G. There also the new impact may come. So these are the few technologies. I'm saying there will be more list. At this point of time, I'm only able to recollect all these which are the major of the minds. But these are the things which will come in a good way or bad way in the coming futures.
Correct. I know the list is never ending because technology is evolving day by day, and with the evolution of technology, so are the cyber threats. Evolving day by day, because cyber criminals are just looking forward for newer methods to get entry into our system, right?
Exactly.
With that, so definitely, really great to hear all your insights. It really did create a great impact. All were solid points, and how the industry is actually, evolving, and how the cybersecurity aspect is evolving, and how people are to be made more aware about cybersecurity and all of that. So before we conclude, so is there anything that you would want to share with the viewers about the lessons that you've learned throughout your journey in the cybersecurity industry, or the do's and don'ts in the cybersecurity industry? If you would want to share something, few golden words of advice.
I think there are don'ts are less, do's are more, because whatever we do, bring cyber security or security as a design. So that's the one thing, because when you build anything, you need to look upon the basics. And security is purely a basic practice of the basics. So if you, most of the time, the breach happens because of not following the basics practices. I think that's because we become more in terms of run towards building stacks. We forget about the basic foundations. I think that's the one thing which I would always recommend and emphasize, to look upon the basics and build anything. When you start looking for building any new platforms or new solutions, bring security as a part of the design part, so that security is there from the start till the rollout of the applications or solutions to the customers. So that's the one thing which I always emphasize with the team as well as any of the viewers.
Great. So that's definitely a great piece of advice to incorporate security at the ground level or level zero, right?
Exactly.
Definitely. So that would be really valuable to all the viewers. So wishing you continued success in all your endeavors. So with that, it's me, Lakshmi, your host for the day, signing off. Thank you and have a good day. And finally, let me tell you, threat landscape will keep increasing with more and more attacks coming in, but let nothing of that affect your peace of mind. Stay positive and don't forget to keep smiling because that's the curve that sets up everything upright, not just for you, but also the people around you. So stay positive and stay secure. Thank you. Lakshmi signing off. Bye.